Investor Lifestyle fam, welcome back to another episode. Today we have an extremely important guest. This young lady has gone through adversity. Her story will inspire millions of young females globally. Welcome Dr. Monifa Marshall.
Thank you for having me so much. Hi everyone.
Yes. Before you start, please viewers, please remember to like, share, subscribe, hit the like button. Let's make this video viral. So Dr. Marshall, could you go in your journey, please?
Okay. Well, I am one from humble beginnings, as we normally say. I grew up in the community of Bartons in St. Catherine. My family was very poor, persons who did what they had to do to make ends meet, to do what needs to be done. However, generally, I didn't always have what I wanted. Even though I don't always have what I want, but I have seen where I have come through a lot, and I believe that my story might be helpful to others. I grew up very minimal resources, but what I had a lot of was love, and I had people in my corner, people who wanted me to achieve and people who wanted me to excel and do well at anything that I did. I must say that I didn't grow up with a dad. I grew up without my father. In fact, I met my father when I was about 19 years old. And my mother, she struggled to make ends meet and to ensure that I was taken care of. But I learned a lot through all of that. So when I was younger, I knew that I wanted to do something that would help persons, something that would cause people to do well, to be healed actually. And I also knew that I wanted to make an impact in society. I wanted to do something that persons looking on would see that I am making an impact. And I loved to help persons to get well, as I said. And so when I was in high school, I had the thought that to help people to get better, I probably should go into medicine, you know, become a doctor. So it wasn't always the thing that I wanted to do, but I knew that it provided an avenue for me to help persons. And so I decided that, I did my research, found out what I needed to do, the grades I needed to get and so on, in order to achieve that. And what happened is that I did the necessary things, like I did the subjects that I needed to do, and I researched where I needed to go. I decided that I could go to UE. I even did the SAT exam, yeah. Right? And I got a half scholarship to go overseas, but even though I had a half scholarship, it would have been too much for me to pay the remaining half. And so I decided that I would go to UE, which is where I did my bachelor's degree. When I went, when I was supposed to start UE, my mother passed. Now that was a blow for me because she was like the main person who was always there for me, and so it was something that was hard to deal with. I also had siblings and persons who were depending on me. So really, I was supposed to maybe stop, do something else, get a job, do something that was shorter, because medicine is for 5 years and I would be studying for 5 years. And knowing medicine, you can't really work and do medicine at the same time. Well, you can, but it proves very difficult. And so I decided that I was going to apply for student loan. I applied for student loan in March or so, and I actually did not get through. They did not contact me until maybe November or December, but I had already started university. And it was a step of faith to go and try to do this, even not knowing where the money would come from. But I decided that it was something that I wanted and I would go after it. Now when I went, some persons decided that they would try to see as best as they could to assist me. The major part of it though would have been the tuition, because the tuition was $28,000 US, but because I was subsidized, the government gives you 80% subsidy depending on your grade. So I was only supposed to pay 20%, which would have been 600 and something thousand at the time, and really and truly I did not have it. But I started to see how things would turn out, and it so happened that one of my mothers, she knew somebody who worked at the Gleaner, and they got my story into the Gleaner, and from there were different persons who invested. I call it an investment, who invested in my life. So my tuition was paid for first year, second year, and so forth. And at different points throughout my career, throughout my studies rather, I got assistance, whether through grants, scholarships, or even the PATH, because I was on PATH. The PATH grant proved to be something that was very beneficial for me. Now, along the way, a lot of persons came in and a lot of persons helped me to get where I am. And so I can't pinpoint or say that it was this or it was that. But what I must say is that because of out of the goodness of people's heart, that is what caused me to reach where I am today. And for that, I am forever grateful. And it is from that part of my life, that place, that I decide that whatever it is that I do, I must be giving back to society. I must also be assisting somebody else to excel and do well in their career, in their life, whatever it is that they decide to do. So overall, it was a difficult experience. I had days when I didn't know where my next meal was coming from. I had days when I didn't know where my books or my resources were coming from, when I needed to go to different off-site. You know, you're not always on campus. Sometimes you have to go to different areas. Most times I chose not to, because then you have to figure out where everything else is going to come from. And then there were times when I needed different things for different courses and I didn't have it. But the Lord always placed persons in my life that assisted me along the way, which allowed me to reach where I am today. So I graduated in 2019, and I call it an achievement, not just for me, but for the persons who were rooting for me, the people who were always there, the persons who were looking and waiting for me to succeed. So it's not just my success really, it is my community's success, the success of those persons around me. So now I am currently working at the Jubilee Hospital. I am working with the babies on the nursery. I love pediatrics. It's what I have always wanted to do, but I must say it is a lot of work. It's very demanding, but I get fulfillment, you know, from giving to persons who are unable to defending people who are unable to defend themselves, being there to look out for those who are unable to look out for themselves, and that gives me so much joy and so much accomplishment and fulfillment.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Just want to touch the point, because you mentioned the part when your mom passed, and you said that was a major blow while being at UE or going to UE.
It was when I was just about to start UE. So she died in August.
Okay.
And I would have started UE. Oh, I would have started UE at the end of August. So she really died just before I was supposed to start UE. So you can imagine coming from high school where everything was being done for you. Your mother was the one who was doing everything for you. She shouldered all the bills. She was the one who looked out for me, you know, the person that I could confide in, the person that I turned to when I needed somebody. And then for her to not be there when I am taking this major step, you know, it was a new road. For her to not be there, it proved to be very difficult. There were days when I was at school or I came home and I needed a mommy. I needed a mommy moment, and mommy wasn't there, you know. There were days when I wanted that person to look to, that person to share what I went through that day with, and she wasn't there. And so a lot of times even now I look back and I'm like, oh my mom is not there to to experience all that I am doing now, you know, to see where I am now. And sometimes it hurts, I'm being honest, sometimes it's hard to deal with, but I know that because of the persons in my corner, really, I am forced to move on, and I know that she would not have wanted me to get stuck on it, you know. She would not have wanted me to give up, play dead. She would have wanted me to move on and to live a full and a fulfilled life.
Excellent. And I know you're like breadwinner for your family.
Yes, yes, especially for my siblings.
Yes.
I'm the one who they depend on. And really and truly, I have no problem doing it because I know that my mother did her very best for me, and so I'm doing my very best for them.
Okay, excellent. What siblings do you have?
I have 2 siblings on my mother's side and 2 on my father's side. So I have a brother and a sister on my mother's side and 2 sisters on my father's side. Okay.
What would you want your legacy or your impact to be on?
You know, just the other day I was speaking on a program and I was asked almost a similar question, and I was pulling on Bob Marley, and I'm going to pull on him again because Bob Marley is someone that we all know. I mean, if somebody said Bob Marley, you just know. And I was saying that what I want is for my generations to come, when they are here, for the path to be paved for them because of me. So through me, their path is paved, in the sense that when you go into a room, or Bob Marley's son, grandchildren, great-grandchildren go into a room and say, hey, you know, I'm Bob Marley's, whatever it is, niece, nephew, the path is made, you know, their way is made for them. Right, and so that is what I want for my generations to come. So that when somebody say, you know, it's Monifa's niece, or it's Monifa's child, or it's her grandchild, person automatically, it's like the universe decides that I'm going to bless and I'm going to give into this person because of Monifa. Yes. That's the kind of legacy that I want to leave.
Excellent. Before you go, I want you to speak on your book, because you're author of a book, Timeless Treasures.
Yes, so I am now an author. I must say, I love to write. It's one of the things that I love to do. Here's my book.
Viewers, subscribers, go out and get the book. Support author, businesswoman, medical doctor, Monifa Marshall. Timeless Treasures. Alright, could you just speak on it briefly?
Right, so I've always loved to write, and I am an avid reader. When I was in primary school, they normally give, for like prize giving or so, they would give you books, and I normally read off my books the moment I get them. So I don't let it wait until the next day. I'll read 2-3 books in like one night, you know, depending on how big it is. And so from that, I always love to write. I write poems, thoughts, stories. I actually have some stories. I've written songs too, but I can't sing, so that one doesn't really count. But I've had stories that I've been writing, and books actually that I'm writing. But this one in particular, what happened is that last year, when COVID was just becoming a thing, I realized that I needed an avenue to just write what was going on in my life. And I decided that I was going to just write down my daily thoughts. What I noticed is that I would have days when something stood out to me, something profound. And I would just put it on WhatsApp, or maybe I say it to somebody, and I never documented it. But last year, about March or so, I decided, you know what, I'm going to document my thoughts just to have it so I can go back to it. Now, when a whole year was done and I looked in my journal, I realized that I had something that could be written down for every day of the year. And so I decided from that I would just go ahead and publish it. Mainly to leave something with the world, that share a part of me, my thoughts, the things that stand out to me with the world. And so the book is here, published just recently, last month. It's all here. I call it Timeless Treasures because it's really timeless. what happened is that I'll just show you a page.
Yeah.
So for instance, on this page, this is February 9. You have a thought on February 9, and then there's a space that you can write your own thoughts.
That's true.
Now the thing about it, if you realize there's no year, so it remains timeless in the sense that you can have it now and you can use it 10 years from now, right? You can get it and you can decide that, hey, when I start my business, I'm going to use this book to write down the things that I have learned from my business that I don't want to forget. Or maybe you're doing a YouTube channel and you know there are things that you're learning as you go along, and you document that each day.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe you want to write down your grandmother's recipes that she left with you. And so it allows you an avenue to do with it what it is that you want, your personal touch and style. But what it also does, it forces you to make note of your day. So as you're going through the day, you're basically encouraged to think about what it is that is standing out to you, and instead of just merely mentioning it to somebody, you document it, and years to come you can have it to look at.
So it's different from our typical books.
Right, it's
so
different.
Okay, so it's basically inspirational quotes, thoughts, and then we can just put it our lessons.
Right. Also, it has this additional thing at the front where we have allowed you a page to write your thoughts, your goals, your visions, your dreams for the year to come. And then at 6 months we go back and we assess. So there's a 6-month mark in there. I won't try and find it, but there's a 6-month mark in there where you go back and you assess what you have done at 6 months. And then at the end of the year you have the page or the avenue for you to see how much you have achieved. So how much of your goals, plans, etc. that you have achieved, what you need to bring over into next year and so on. So it has proven to be very nice. I actually like it. The cover is very soft and nice.
Yeah.
You can feel it.
Yes.
Right. So you can use it if you're getting married, if you are going into something new, or if you just like to journal and you want to journal your thoughts and so on. It can prove to be an effective tool or method to do so. No, it's also a good gift. I've given it as gift to different persons, and I realize that it's a good gift because it encourages persons to write. You can document thoughts from other person's material. Like if you're reading an inspirational book or a motivational book, you know, whatever it is, you can from that write down what it is that you're learning on a daily basis from that. So you can have like snippets instead of you going back to this book and reading through again. You just have your small space or area that you can go back and look at the summary that you would have made. So it's available on Amazon. You can just type in Timeless Treasures Monifa Marshall, or I'll send you the link and you can post the link, and from that you can make your purchase. It's available as Kindle as well as the hard copy here. The Kindle version is for $9.99 and the hard copy is for $19.99. I'm trying to get it in bookstores and so on here. I haven't been able to do that just yet, but I'm working on it. In the meantime, I have copies that are available, and I'll leave my information with you and you can just share that.
Share with other person,
right? So for persons who might want the book. So it's actually an achievement, I believe. It wasn't planned per se. I was just writing down my thoughts, so it wasn't really planned. But now I realize that it is something that I love and that I am beginning to love more and more each day.
Yes. Dr. Monifa, thank you very much. I hope the viewers, they have enjoyed, and this interview will be something that's timeless as well for millions or even billions of young girls, not because of your present situation that can determine your outcome, but you can rise against all adversities. Thank
That's
you.
it. Do you want me to share one of the thoughts from the book with you?
Yes, yes, most definitely before we go.
Okay, so April 8th says, doing things someone else's way subtracts absolutely nothing from your identity. And I'll just skip to another one for you. May 12th, refuse to worry about things you cannot control.
Yeah. So refuse to worry about things you cannot control.
Right, so these are thoughts that can last a lifetime.
Lifetime, yes.
Right.
Thank you. It's been a blessing. And I am really happy that you came on my program to conduct this interview. Because we were speaking about 6 months ago, and finally it has materialized.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yes. So, viewers, all the best. Walk good, one love.
Thank you, thank you.